King Lear Part 2. To summarise the relationship between King Lear and Cordelia, I would say that their physical relationship is not as intense as compared to the start, as Lear is no longer kissing Cordelia in a way we associate with a sexual relationship. Now it is more of a father and daughter relationship, as Lear has lost all his power, and in doing so he cannot do the things he once could. Now his physical relationship is more suitable in the eyes of today's society. That doesn't mean Lear loves her any less, it just shows how Lear went from this powerful man who can get away with such acts to an old man with little next to no power. From this point the relationship becomes a psychological one, what they verbalise to each other to show their true emotions. This is when King Lear finally realised it was his younger daughter he truly loved him the most, and when the end tragedy happened, we saw Lear's legacy, all his children dead. The old insane man simply died, giving the viewer the impression he had nothing left to live for and died of a broken heart.
Form. In King Lear, Shakespeare uses different forms to engage the audience with the play. He uses dialogue, monologues, soliloquies, and asides. A dialogue is the conversation between two or more people. It shows how the characters act around others and shows a side of their personality, such as when Edmund deceived his father to get power, as he used persuasive language to convince Gloucester that his eldest son, Edgar, had betrayed him when he didn't. A dialogue can give information about the plot to the audience. A monologue is a speech given by a single person. In theatres, monologues are delivered to the audience by one character. Usually he or she speaks for an extended period of time and is not interrupted by other characters. Shakespeare's plays are full of soliloquies and monologues. They are used to allow a character to communicate his or her thoughts directly to the audience. They offer a way for the playwright to hear a character's inner thoughts. A soliloquy is different from a monologue, in which a character speaks aloud his thoughts, but with other characters present. Shakespeare also frequently employs the aside, in which the characters address the audience, but other characters are not supposed to hear. The aside allows the audience to learn details that most of the characters on stage do not know. For example, when Goneril uses an aside to reveal that she has poisoned Regan.
Shakespeare wrote King Lear around 1605 between Othello and Macbeth. The setting of King Lear is as far removed from Shakespeare's time as the setting of any other of his plays, dramatising events from the 8th century. However, parallel stories of Lear's and Gloucester's suffering at the hands of their own children reflect anxieties that would have been close to home for Shakespeare's audience. An event that may have influenced this play is a lawsuit that happened not long before the play was written, where 3 sisters tried to have their father declared insane so they could have control of his property. The youngest daughter, Cordell, defended her father against her sisters. Another event that Shakespeare and his audience would have been familiar with is the case with William Allen, a mayor of London, who was treated very poorly by his 3 daughters when dividing his wealth among them. King Lear is still very relatable now, even if we have grown as a society. When King Lear was written, it was a very sexist society, when women were seen to be little men. When King Lear was written, kings played a big part in society and were very important. However, now the monarch is less important and kings no longer have all the power. When the play was written, kings had complete power. When Lear was kissing his daughters in a not very fatherly way, no one could challenge him or say anything about it. They couldn't go against him because he was king. However, in today's society, it would be seen as very wrong. People can still relate to King Lear. The play shows a relationship of father and daughter getting harder to deal with, and the struggle of parents growing up and children growing up. As Lear gets older and weaker, his daughters get stronger, and this is a normal cycle of life. However, his daughters abuse the power, and at the very end there is a very relatable scene for anyone who has lost a child. It shows the hardship Lear goes through and his complete denial, and doesn't want to believe his daughter is dead like any other grieving father.
Structure is a key part of the way Shakespeare writes his plays, especially his tragedies. The structure of the relationship of King Lear and Cordelia is explored in a couple of scenes. Considering that Cordelia is one of the main characters, She's not in the play much, but is still a key factor determining the mind and mentality of King Lear. Cordelia and Lear's relationship is parallel to Edgar and Gloucester's. Lear and Gloucester, both blind to the truth, they kick out their honest children, while the deceiving siblings are left to destroy their reputation and lives. Lear is metaphorically blind to the truth, while Gloucester is actually blinded by his son Edmund betraying him. Gloucester finally realises who was the true son after this event, while Lear realises that Cordelia was his true daughter after Goneril and Regan threw him out onto the heath. These happen at similar times, which shows a parallel between the relationships of both. When Gloucester is thrown out of his castle blinded, he meets up with poor Tom, who is in actual fact his son Edgar in disguise. Meanwhile, Lear is asleep in his chair in Dover, while Cordelia is talking to him. Another parallel, as they are still both metaphorically blind to the fact that their children are back with them. The final act of this tragedy, which is called the Catastrophe by Shakespeare, contains the death scenes of Lear and Gloucester as they both die at Dover. The final parallel is that they both die, not knowing whether their child was alive or not. King Lear is blind to the death of Cordelia, even though he is holding her in his arms. He believes she is sleeping, while Gloucester still doesn't know whether Edgar is alive or not, because he hasn't realised that poor Tom is actually Edgar in disguise. Overall, there are many structural parallels in King Lear, and this helps explore the relationship of Lear and Cordelia as more of a relationship based on trust rather than overblown love like Goneril and Regan.
As the play progresses and we see Lear fall into madness because of his two daughters plotting, it seems that his and Cordelia's relationship strengthens. We see this when Cordelia says, "We are not the first who with best meaning have incurred the worst," in Act 5. This is showing that she forgives her father with his earlier actions and understands that she is not the first to be treated badly because Lear thought he was doing the right thing. Lear says, "Come, let's away to prison. We two alone will sing like birds in the cage." This shows how now Cordelia and Lear are together. They don't worry about their fate as long as they're together. This to me is one of their strongest moments in their relationship. Lear then says, "So we'll live and pray and sing and tell old tales and laugh at gilded butterflies." This is the moment where they go into their cell. Their laughter and singing is a symbol of their happiness, and I feel that because Lear wants to tell old tales and relive the past, that it shows that they have forgiven each other completely. The moment Lear finds out that Cordelia is dead is the second most strongest point in the relationship for King Lear. This is shown when he says, "Howl, howl, howl. She's gone forever. I know when one is dead and when one lives. She's dead as earth." The emotion is expressed by Lear, and the way he says the quote shows his heartbreak for his most loyal daughter. The howl, howl represents a howl of anguish over his daughter's death. King Lear says, "I might have saved her, now she's gone forever." This shows his regret towards how he treated Cordelia, because he can't take it back now she's dead. This regret shows how much he cared for his daughter. By the end of the play, we can see Lear's true feelings for Cordelia, and how he cares for her and regrets everything he's done to her. Do you see this? Look on her. Look, her lips. Look there. Look there. This shows Lear's depression for Cordelia. This shows Lear's desperation for Cordelia to live. We can see now how Lear's character and their relationship has progressed, because towards the middle of the play, Lear and Cordelia didn't have a very good relationship as he disowned her, but by the end we can see how much he cares for her, and this is more obvious because Cordelia's death has led to the downfall of King Lear himself.